Today we're going to talk about a natural compound that's getting a ton of buzz in the research world, quercetin. It's found in really common foods, but its potential impact on how we age and fight disease, well, that is anything but common. So let's just dive right in.
So let me start with a question for you. What on earth do capers have in common with something scientists are calling zombie cells? Yeah, I know, it sounds a little out there. But the answer to this question really gets to the heart of why this topic is so incredibly fascinating.
And the answer, believe it or not, starts with a pretty simple natural compound. So let's break down what quercetin actually is.
Okay, so quercetin is what's known as a dietary flavonoid. You don't have to remember that fancy term. Just think of it as a natural compound found in a lot of plants. And its most powerful sources are things you might already have in your kitchen, like capers and red onions. Simple enough, right? But what this little compound does inside our bodies, that's where things get really, really interesting.
Now let's talk about the villain of our story here. To really get why quercetin is such a big deal, we first need to understand a major problem our bodies face as we get older. These things called senescent cells, or as they're more famously known, zombie cells.
So think about it like this. Healthy cells have a life cycle, right? They divide, they do their job, and eventually they die off to make room for new healthy cells. But senescent cells, they're different. They get old or damaged, they stop dividing, but, and this is the key part, they refuse to die. They just hang around, like zombies. And this pileup of zombie cells is strongly linked to aging and serious diseases, especially cancer.
And this kicks off a really dangerous chain reaction. It might start with a cell just getting old, or, and here's the crazy part, it can be caused by common cancer treatments like chemotherapy. So instead of dying off like it's supposed to, the cell goes into this zombie state. Then it starts pumping out all these harmful inflammatory signals that damage the healthy cells around it. In a cancer fight, this can actually cause the treatment to stop working.
Okay, so if zombie cells are the problem, what's the solution? Well, this brings us to the hero of our story, a scientific strategy designed specifically to clear out these bad guy cells.
This strategy is called a Senolytic therapy. The name literally means to destroy the old. The whole goal is to find things that can hunt down and eliminate these zombie cells without harming the healthy ones. And one of the most promising senolytic combos that researchers are looking at pairs an existing cancer drug, dasatinib, with our star of the show, quercetin.
So, the big question, does it actually work? Well, the first results from early human trials are definitely promising. In one study, researchers saw at least a 17% reduction in these zombie cells after treatment. But, that was just the floor. Because on the high end, they saw a staggering 62% reduction in these zombie cells. And get this was after just a short 3-day hit-and-run protocol. That suggests this D plus Q combo can be incredibly powerful in a really short amount of time.
I mean, clearing out zombie cells is a huge deal, but quercetin has more than one trick up its sleeve. Let's look at its other major power, which is kind of like calling in reinforcements in the battle for our health, fighting inflammation.
Out-of-control inflammation is a massive problem in so many diseases. We all saw it with COVID, and we also see it with some of the most advanced cancer therapies, like CAR-T. What the research shows is that quercetin seems to help calm that immune overreaction. In studies on COVID, it was linked to a faster recovery and better levels of a biomarker called LDH. That's an enzyme that can signal tissue damage, and it's something doctors often track in cancer patients too.
All right, now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Because beyond fighting these active problems like zombie cells and inflammation, research also suggests that quercetin plays a role in lowering our overall risk and supporting our metabolism, both of which are super connected to cancer.
This is a really powerful number. One big study looking at people's diets found that the group who ate the most quercetin-rich foods had an estimated 30% lower risk of developing prostate cancer than the group who ate the least. That points to some serious preventative potential.
And the benefits don't even stop there. Other studies have linked it to a lower risk for several other cancers. It also helps our metabolism by lowering insulin resistance and raising levels of a helpful hormone called adiponectin. And low levels of that hormone are tied to faster cancer progression. And what's really wild is that in early lab studies, it's been shown to block an enzyme that actually helps cancer cells resist treatment. In some cases, it even reversed resistance to common chemotherapy drugs.
So, we've looked at some incredibly compelling evidence here. But what's the bottom line? What does this all mean for us right now? Let's pull it all together.
Now, it's really important to add one key piece of context here. As powerful as quercetin is, our bodies aren't great at absorbing it. It's estimated that we only actually absorb about 20 to 40% of the quercetin we eat. This is a huge reason why the research is still going. Scientists are trying to figure out the best ways to deliver it to maximize all these benefits.
I think this quote from one of the sources we looked at just sums it up perfectly. The evidence for quercetin's benefits is highly compelling. The connections between what it does to zombie cells, inflammation, and metabolism, and what we know drives cancer, it's all very strong. But a lot of it is still indirect, which just means we need more direct human trials to really nail down these connections.
And that kind of leaves us with this final big question. We've talked about how this simple compound found in everyday foods could potentially fight off zombie cells, calm inflammation, and maybe even make cancer treatments work better. The science is absolutely still evolving, but man, it really makes you wonder, could one of the keys to a healthier future have been right there on our plates this whole time?